You must pick a facilitator. Somebody that actually runs the meeting, but does not give as much input. You should have picked a recorder. Somebody that actually writes down what comes out of the group. Not their own ideas, but what comes out of the group. You should have picked a reporter. Somebody that's going to get up and explain what came out of the group that's generally not a speaker. Because we want what came out of the group. Okay. Of the 2 disciples, everybody had 2. We don't have our whiteboard, so the reporter will have to bring somebody up with them to actually show what got written down.
You need the whiteboard?
It's I went back there and checked all the screws and came out. I'll fix it so next time we do something like this, we'll be prepared.
It was just that one. That's why I just stopped putting it up, because every time I did, it just kept falling out.
Okay.
We'll have it next time. And just so that you know, 5th Sunday won't be like this every time. It'll be something different every 5th Sunday, because I don't want you to be prepared and already have studied what we're going to go over. The purpose is for us to have unity as a church. The purpose is for us to be able to research scriptures and find out understanding and what was your perspective. Some of you guys should have found out something about the disciples that you didn't know. It should have been something interesting that popped out. All right, with that, we will bring up the young adults first. Please come forward and present your material. Please give them a hand. Use whatever means you need to report what you have.
Hello.
Hey.
Good morning. Well, I chose 9 and 3 for our numbers, and we got 2 apostles named James. And it was pretty confusing for most of the meeting because we were like, wait, James of Zebedee or James brother of Jesus? And, yeah. So he had a funny name. Okay, so the first name we researched was James, son of Zebedee. He was the brother of John, and he was commonly known as like the elder, if you were referring to him. And before he met Jesus, he was a fisherman. And he was given after he met Jesus, he was given the mission to proclaim good news and healing. And he gained healing powers to cast out demons. And some contributions that he had. He wrote the book of James in the Bible, and in that book, he spoke a lot about discrimination and protested on hypocrisy. And he spoke a lot about the power of the tongue, what it has over people. And he was martyred after his death. He was killed by a sword by Herod Agrippa. And Jesus in the Bible,
How was he killed?
he was by a sword.
Okay.
In Matthew 4:21, it describes him how he started following Jesus. Jesus walked by with Simon and Peter while he was on a boat with his brother, and he just started following him. That's it. It's really weird. You're just like, oh, bye, Dad. I'm going to go follow this guy around the Middle East. And for number 9, we got the other James was James, son of Alphaeus, and the brother of Jesus. He is known as the Less, and he is the father of Judas. I did not know that. That was really interesting to find out. And he was also known as James the Just. He was also known as James the Just because he was like really active in his local synagogue, and he was sometimes known as the pillar of the church before and after meeting Jesus. And he was actually stoned to death by some of his fellow Jews outside of the synagogue. We couldn't really figure out why in like the time that we had, but it was kind of weird that he was stoned outside of the synagogue, but he was such like a pillar in the church. And some scriptures, if you wanted to research anything of what we said, were Matthew 4:12, chapter 4, verse 12, chapter 13, book 13, and Genesis 25th chapter, verses 26 through 37, and so on.
Amen.
All right.
All right.
I like that. So did anybody learn something out of that you didn't know?
Yes.
Did you pick up anything?
Yes.
There's multiple Judases in there. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this now. I was going to wait to the end, but I'll say it now. What's going to happen, everything that you turn in, I'm going to take those home, and I'm going to write them up, get them typed up, and that's going to come back as a packet for the church. So everything that you researched, everything that we as a church came together on is going to come back to you as a packet to take away. This is one of the things that Pastor had a vision a long time ago that he wanted our church to actually start writing books. This is going to be an intro into that for us to start pulling information. Is this going to be a book? No. But we never know where this information may lead, and we never know who out of this congregation is going to aspire to be a writer. So with that, we will bring up the women. Women's class.
Good morning, everyone. I guess I was chosen. I don't come up that often to speak. But anyway, our two disciples was Simon Peter. First question was, what scripture can he be found in? So Matthew 4:8 through 18, Mark 8:29 through 33, Luke 22:31 through 34, Luke 5:45, and John 1 through 42. I think most of them, the first ones, of course, were when he chose the disciples. Matthew, Mark, and Luke were. What was his full given name? It was Simon Bar-Jonah. Bar-Jonah means son of John. And Jesus, of course, gave him the name Peter, which means the rock. What was his occupation or job prior to meeting Jesus? He was a fisherman. That's how Jesus found him and his brother. And therefore, why did Jesus choose him? They chose him because of who he was and who he would become. Jesus, of course, was able to see that with choosing him, he would become a fine leader and a fine disciple. 5, what was his task, job, or what was he known for after he met Jesus? Of course, after Jesus chose him, he told that he was going to become fisherman of men. So he was known for his failures, and he became a great follower of Jesus. Because, of course, everyone can remember Peter. Peter was the one who, of course, everybody knows he was the one who what? 3 times lied. He denied Jesus. So, of course, cut off his ear, had the temper. Yes. Cut off the man's ear. Cut off the soldier's ear. And Jesus put it back on? Amen. Okay, so, and then what was his contribution to Christianity? He started the first church in Antioch. Then, of course, the 2 books in the Bible, 1 Peter and 2 Peter. And then also, how did he die? We found out that he was crucified upside down in Rome.
Question, wasn't he the first pope?
I don't know. We didn't find that out.
We got the 15-minute mark.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we had to go to the next. We had to go to the next one, yeah, because we could have dug a whole lot more, of course, for Simon Peter. And of course, our next one was Thaddeus.
He was the first pope.
He was.
He was the first pope.
He was the first pope.
Okay.
I mean, we got that.
Okay, I check it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, you help us with this one. Thaddeus. Okay, what scriptures can it be found in? Matthew 10:3, Mark 3:18, Luke 6:15, and John 14:42. His what was his full given name was Judas Labius Thaddeus. That was his name. Yes. And what was his occupation or job prior to meeting Jesus? Unknown. We couldn't find anything as far as what he did prior to him meeting Jesus. Not necessarily unknown.
I said, what was reading this? He was a hustler.
He was a hustler. All right.
Yeah, y'all should definitely
Go with that.
Why did Jesus choose him? Because he was a willing follower. He immediately started following Jesus. What was his task, job, or what was he known for after he met Jesus? He was known as a disciple of Jesus. What was his contribution to Christianity? To minister with Jesus. How did he die? We did find out that he was a martyr. That in 65 AD in Beirut, he was killed.
Didn't he also become an apostle to Beirut?
I don't know, sir. You
Y'all
say
didn't
so.
give that out.
He did, and he was actually martyred with Simon the Zealot in 65. In Syria.
All right. Once again, was there something that you got out of that you did not know? There should be something coming out of each of these that you didn't know. Okay.
How did Peter die? How did Peter die?
So, souls for Christ, we often are accused of going real deep into things. This is that entry where we need to continue to go deep. With that, we will bring up the men's class. Come on, y'all, give my hand at the men's class.
Y'all gonna excuse us. I know I come up here all the time, but our class started out kind of slack, y'all, so not much of a choice. All right, the two that we picked was Matthew and Philip, and one of the things that we found out was some interesting thing. The first one was what scripture can you be found in? And as you can see here is Matthew 9. Yeah, pretty good penmanship, isn't it? He ain't telling nobody. Now his brother Dario. Matthew 9 and 9, Matthew 10 and 3, Mark 3 and 8, and Luke 6 and 15, and Acts 1 and 13. And the next one, what is his full given name? And his full given name is Levi. You might want to hold around this way. You know, I can't see like that. But anyway, his full name was Levi, and you know, we kind of went through the Bible and tried to find out some different things, but the Levi was the only thing that we really got out. It didn't give a last name. Occupation was a tax collector, a publican, you know, about that money. And also it said Jesus chose him because of his knowledge of the people. You know, in that time, you know, you have to know where the people was and how to collect that money. And Jesus said, I could probably use him, you know. So that's what he chose him for as well. As far as what's the next one? Next question. What was? We just did that one. What was his task, job, or was he known for after he met Jesus? This is where we never did find out that, Dario, or was it his the book of Matthew?
See, that's a contribution.
That's a contribution.
That's what we put for contribution. But as far as his task and job after that, I don't know.
We didn't find anything, but
15-minute mark. Yeah, I'm
we go with that. But from what we learned and what we were studying about his main. He changed the profession. That's what we're looking for. You know what he. So you already went on ahead and did that. All right, good. All right. He changed profession, which is something that we all supposed to do once we meet Jesus. If we doing something wrong, we're supposed to change what we're doing, right? All right. Next one. What was his task, job, or what was he? That was the next one. What was his contribution to Christianity? And the book of Matthew. You know, he wrote the book of Matthew, and you know that was one of the things that we did all this research, and we said, "Oh, what did he do?" And then we went back and said, "Oh, he wrote the book of Matthew." Duh. But we were trying to get all deep, y'all. You know, we wasn't, trying to just come up here and just say anything. How did he die? Everybody know how he died? You don't know how he died? Somebody say you got shot. What? Zach, you said that? He died by martyrdom in Ethiopia, killed by a sword. So a lot of disciples, either they was crucified, or they was hung upside down, or they were boiled. I think Paul was boiled in some hot tar. Okay. All right. Next one, Philip. All right.
One L.
Philip, let's see. The first one is what scripture can you be found in? And we found out that most all of them was found in Matthew 10 and 3. Okay, next one, what was his full given name? And Philip is what we found. And we found some interesting thing about Philip as well. There was also another Philip that we did a lot of research on and getting ready to write it down. Come to find out it was a different Philip. He was an evangelist, and we were getting ready to put it in there too, boy. we was writing it down and said, wait a minute, that's a different one. All right, what was his occupation, job, or prior to meeting Jesus?
The other fellow was a deacon.
Deacon.
The other fellow was a deacon.
Yeah, he was also the one I think that the Ethiopian came to about baptizing.
Yeah.
That was the other one as well. So we found out, okay, his occupation, unknown, most likely a fisherman as well. We did research on that as well.
Yeah, he was a fisherman. He was
Yeah.
friends with Andrew.
Yeah, that's what we was coming up with. We saw that and then we were like, wait a minute, he had to do something else. And now I guess Jesus picked a lot of fishermen. I guess he needs a lot of people. So all of us out here are fishermen, right? Yeah, Jesus going by the seaside. Hey, y'all know how to fish. I need somebody to go with me. All right. Moving on. Why did Jesus choose him? Because, where we at? Chose him because he was obedient. Jesus said, come, he went. You know, how many of us can say that? I know when he called me, I kept running. All right. Why? Let's see, that was why did Jesus choose him. Next one, what was his task, job, or what was he known for after meeting Jesus?
Question mark.
Question mark. All right, not sure. Yeah, that was a 3-minute roll call. Yeah, we know that he became an apostle, but we was looking for other things that he did, tangible that he did. We know he was an apostle, and we were looking for something else that he did besides spreading the word of God, because we know that's what all of them did after Jesus died and everything. What was his contribution to Christianity? He spread the gospel all over, as well as the other apostle and the disciple that became apostle. All right, and the last one, how did he die? He died by crucifixion as well. Was that AD in hypothesis? Hypothesis.
Modern day Turkey.
Modern day Turkey, y'all. So, it's like Eric said, it was some interesting thing, trying to find anything. Boy, we thought we knew this stuff. But it kind of opened up our minds, and I was trying to get my phone out. My phone wouldn't work with her, so I had to actually pull my Bible out, but it was good. Amen.
All right, give him a hand. All right, like I said, did anybody learn anything out of that they didn't know?
Yes.
Was there anything that you picked up out of that?
That's what I picked up too.
Everybody's a fisherman.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know there was a James.
Yes. All right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. James. There you go. All right. So, moving on. I'll repeat this again. Perspective. A way of regarding situations, facts, and judging their relative importance. The reason why we dug into this, generally people come up with the disciples and say, yeah, they followed Jesus and then they moved on. But there's some relevance in who they were, where they came from, what their occupations were, why they died. There's some relevance in that. Because if you associate yourself with certain disciples, you don't know how your life is going to tend to lead toward what happened to those disciples. No, you won't be that disciple, but you never know how your life may pair with them.
That's what we brought out in our Lord. We're talking about Peter and why he was chosen, because he was at the faith. And because that's how we learn, it teaches us that even though we have fallen, we don't have to stay down, that we can be restored.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Here's a couple of things about some of the ones that were not chosen. Andrew, originally a disciple of John the Baptist, and he led his brother Simon to Christ. John, the son of Zebedee, he was also a fisherman. He was a strong person that cared for Jesus' mother, and he stressed grace.
was it more than one Zebedee?
Yes, ma'am. Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel. He was questioning at first, but then he accepted Jesus later on. He was a questioning disciple. He didn't really believe in it. Thomas.
Doubt.
Yep, he doubted the resurrection. What did he doubt? Don't just say doubting Thomas. What did he actually doubt? He doubted the resurrection, but later on, he was actually willing to risk his life for Jesus.
That's right.
Simon, also known as the zealot or the patriot, he was the one that saw the vision. And Judas Iscariot, of course, he was the betrayer of Jesus, but he also kept the money for the disciples. Whenever they had money, Jesus actually kept the money for them. Judas. So, that's just a couple of things about those disciples. Again, I'm going to take all of this, get it all written up, and it's going to come back to the church as packets. So then we need to, as individuals, take it and we need to punch holes in it. Go through it. Do your own internal research. It's not something that's going to be due now, but we have another 5th Sunday coming up, I think in 2 months. By the next 5th Sunday, have everything that you can about the packet so that we can put it together as a manual for our own church. So that if you wanted to study about the 12 disciples, guess what? We've done some research. Our church has done research. We have different points of view. We have different perspectives. And we also have a perception of what the purpose of the disciples were. So, if this is a good thing, I'm asking you, please clap your hands. Let me know. Is this something that worked out for everybody? Again, each 5th Sunday is going to be different. Hopefully, it will be something that challenges your mind, that gets you to dig into the Word, that allows you to see that there's value in everybody here. Hopefully somebody gave some input that maybe you thought something different about them. Maybe you didn't think they knew something. Maybe you didn't think they could do research. Whatever it is, we want to build unity in our church. We want to make sure that we are together and that we have sound knowledge and doctrine. Everything we do reflects on our pastor. So once we get this together and we turn it over to pastor, we're going to let pastor go through it and make sure that we're learning what we need to. So with that, we'll bring up our church secretary. Please give her